In this video, we're going to be testing out the Toocaa L2 desktop laser engraver. Now, I actually purchased another laser earlier this year that I actually did a review on. It's been really great. If you love to create things and you want to cut things out of wood, you want engraved metals, I would definitely recommend getting a laser engraver. But the one downside of the other laser engraver that I purchased is the price. It was super expensive, where the Toocaa L2 is only a fraction of that price. I think at the time of this recording, the L2 is on sale for about $934 for the version that I have here. So in this video, I'm going to go through the unboxing. We're going to see everything that you get. I'm going to go through the full setup. We're also going to work on some projects, and by the end of this video, you'll know whether or not this laser engraver is right for you. I also want to disclose that I am not being paid by Toocaa, but they did send this out to me so I could do this review for you guys. So the L2 comes to you about 95% already assembled. The only thing you really have to put together is the covering that goes over the actual laser. Some really cool features of the L2 is the fact that it comes with swappable laser modules. So if you need a laser that's more powerful, or if you need like an IR laser, you can just buy that module and easily swap it out for the one that you already have inside the L2. My setup here comes with the 20-watt laser, and it can do about 24,000 millimeters a minute. It's got 0.01 motion accuracy, and it also has a 415 by 396 millimeter working area. Toocaa also puts a really big emphasis on safety, and this laser here has a Class 1 safety certification. That's the highest standard among the International Laser Safety Certification standards. It's also got an efficient smoke exhaust system. It's got a gyroscope detector, a lid open detector, a USB safety interlock protection, so if you have kids and you take out this little USB, they won't be able to play around with the laser when you're not around. It uses nitrogen gas springs for the door on the top of the lid. It's got a flame detector, limit protection, and an LED light strip for visual working states. It also supports Lightburn, the Toocaa Studio, and Laser GRBL. So the setup that I have here comes with this air assist set, and I never knew about this for my other laser that I really could have used, but basically what it does is it keeps your working area nice and clean. It has a constant airflow, so it keeps your laser nice and clean. It also keeps your wood from burning, because if there is a flame or something like that, besides the safety protection, the constant airflow will keep the flame from burning the rest of your project, which is really nice. Again, I will be showing you what this does and how to set it up in just a few minutes. Let's see what else we get inside the box. So we do also get this metal honeycomb laser piece. It does come with this thin piece of metal on the back that you can take out. I just kind of put this on the inside so it doesn't get lost or move around, but you put this underneath the laser so the laser doesn't actually burn into anything on your desk, which is very handy. So let's open up the box here. We'll see what we get inside. This box is huge, and I almost don't have enough room on my table to kind of show you everything here, but we're going to make it work. So here are the pieces for the top cover, and you'll notice that these have like an orange tint to them, and that's to block out the laser light, so you can actually use the laser without having to worry about glasses, although I would definitely recommend you still wear your glasses just in case. But this orange color does block out that laser light. That's another safety feature of the L2, which is great. Here we have those gas shocks that I told you about before. Got some more hardware. And like I said before, this comes about 95% pre-assembled. This is just all the hardware that you have to put together for the top cover. A lot of foam, which is good. It's very well packed, so you don't have to worry about it getting damaged before you actually get to use it. Here we have our user guides and some parts pack. Here we have our nice big hefty fan for the exhaust. Here's our power adapter. pretty big. Here is our 20-watt laser module. It also comes with a pair of safety goggles, so you don't have to actually go out and buy some. You can buy some nicer ones, maybe a little bit more comfortable on Amazon. They're not that expensive. I think I purchased another set online that were about 50 bucks. Here we get our tool kit with all of our accessories in it. It looks like you don't have to worry about getting your own tools because it should be in that little part right there. Here we have some metal feet with some rubber pads on the bottom. And then the rest of the laser is inside here. And I think that is about it. Close this up. And as I mentioned, here is the rest of the laser. It's all metal. It's got all the rails and everything all built. So the only thing you need to do is to put it on, build the top and put it over the laser here. Let's get a nice big area. So before we put together the laser enclosure, we need to install our laser module first. And I want to show you how easy it is to swap out the module. So here we have the 20-watt module. Here is the little mount for the laser. Just make sure that the little lever here is up so you can install the laser. Just slide this into the slot just like that, and then push down on that little lever on the other side, and you're pretty much done. And the way that you adjust the height of the laser again is just undo the latch on the side, and then you can raise and lower the laser to focus. And it's really all that simple. As you can see, it's nice and sturdy when you move back and forth. Now, once your laser is installed, we need to install the USB Type-C connection on the top. There are a couple screws we need to install as well, and those little screws were in this little bag that was kind of taped onto one of the, I think it was the enclosure portions, but just take the USB Type-C port, plug it into the top here. It's a little difficult because you can't see exactly where the USB-C port is. All right, then just push that in. Make sure your laser's all the way down. I didn't know it was going to be that tough. And then take your screws, put those into each side here. Then you're going to take your smallest wrench that comes in the box and we'll tighten up those screws. So now we're going to install the cover for the laser, and I've got all the parts and everything laid out on my table here, open and ready to go. I've got the rest of my plexiglass parts on my floor because I don't have enough room on my table. This is the very first part that we're going to be starting with, and I'm also going to be starting a stopwatch to see how long about it will take to totally install this cover. So here we go. Now when we're installing this fan, it does show that there's these arrows for the right and wrong way. And if we take a look at our fan here, try to show you those arrows. Those arrows are printed right on to the side of the fan. So you'll know exactly how it's supposed to go, and it's going to be this way. It shows you the wrong way, but just so you guys can see that the arrows are actually imprinted right onto the fan. And to make this a little easier for you, just make sure that the little silver sticker is pointing out away from the cover. Now the top portion of the enclosure does have a lot of parts, but it's really not that hard to put together. Most of the time is spent actually looking through the instructions to make sure everything's lined up properly. But Toocaa does try to make it as easy as possible because all the parts and pieces are labeled with colored stickers. All right, so the enclosure is pretty much done being put together. The only thing we need to do now is connect some of the wires, and we need to put this on top of our laser engraver and just install these little fasteners so it stays in place. And to put together the enclosure, minus the little problem I had with the screw, took about an hour. And if we take a look at the side of the laser engraver, here we have our power switch, we have a micro SD card slot, we have a USB Type-C port, a power connection, and a USB Type-A connection. We also have a little hub here where we connect the LED lighting on the inside. So now we need to connect this a little piece that we have over here to the hub so all the LEDs will light up. So one minor adjustment that I did need to make is on the top here where the top hinges, there was a slight gap. So I loosened the bolts on these hinges, pushed this top portion together, and then tightened everything back up, and now there's no gap and it opens and closes very nicely. Another thing I think is very important if you're going to be using the laser engraver inside your house, you need to have some sort of a filtration system for inside the house, or you can do like I did and I put up tubing that go all the way out to my window and exhaust to the outside, so no fumes or smells or anything like that for the most part will be inside my house. They will all be ejected through my tubing system. All right, so now we're going to connect the tubing to the exhaust. Just make sure you put on your ring first, and then we'll put on the exhaust tubing. So now once we have our exhaust piping connected, we also need to connect our power adapter to our fan. Now, unfortunately, the fan connects directly to this power adapter, so when you plug it in, the fan will just turn on whenever you plug this in. So it doesn't seem to have a switch or anything, so you might want to maybe invest in some sort of a smart plug or something like that to allow your fan to turn on only when you want to. All right, so here we have our USB key. So the laser engraver will not work unless this is plugged in, and I'll show you that in just a minute. We also get this little metal stepper, which allows you to kind of gauge laser engraving or cutting deeper into a piece of wood, so you can use this. And we also get the micro SD card along with a micro SD card reader, so you can easily plug this into your computer if you need to. So we'll put in our micro SD card. We'll also plug in the power adapter into the side of the unit here. So the three red LED beeps is to let you know that the USB key is not inserted. So we'll put that in, turn off the unit, and we'll turn it back on. So as you can see, the LED is green, and you can very easily see that in the front here to let you know that everything is good to go. And to get us started with our laser engraving, we do have this shiny metal plate as well as some wood, and we also have some metal dog tags as well to engrave on. Now we also do have our air assist system. It comes with some tubing. We have another power cord, but for the air assist, it actually comes with a on-off switch, so you don't have to worry about plugging this into something that needs a switch. It comes with its own, and we'll install this right now. So now for the air assist tubing, there is a small hole at the very top in the back of the laser engraver. Just take your tubing and fish it through that little hole. Then just take your tube, and we're going to feed it through the little hole on the top here and into the little air assist pipe. And you're all set. So you can see where I plug the other end of the tube into the top of the air assist. And you can just pretty much put it where you want. And the little power switch, you can kind of maybe mount it to the side of the laser engraver so it's up and out of the way, but you can just leave that there if you want to, and then you just rotate it to turn it on and rotate it the other way to totally turn it off. And when you turn it on, you can definitely feel the air blowing from out the front of the laser. Now, as I mentioned before, Toocaa is very serious about safety for you and your family, so they've implemented a couple different safety features on their lasers to make sure that everybody is safe no matter what the situation. And the very first safety feature that they have is that they've made this little USB key needed to be inputted into the laser for it to be used. So if somebody in your family, maybe you have kids, comes and wants to play with the laser and they actually turn it on, if this USB-C key is not inside the laser, it won't work at all. So here I've removed the USB key. I'll turn on the laser and you'll see it start beeping to let you know that there's no USB key. And there you go. And it'll just continuously do that until you turn it off and put the USB key back in. So I'll turn it off. We'll insert the USB key into the side here. We'll turn it back on. And you'll see now that you can use the laser because I've inserted the USB key. Another thing you'll notice is the whole laser enclosure is made from this transparent orange plexiglass, and this color actually blocks out all the harmful laser light. So if you're not wearing your protective glasses, which I definitely recommend you do at all times, you can still use the laser and you don't have to worry about your eyes getting damaged because again, this cover blocks out the harmful laser light. Another safety feature they've also added for this laser is if you or somebody else happens to come along and open the lid while the laser is actually engraving, it will immediately shut off, saving your eyesight from the laser. And I'm going to show you that right now. First, I'm going to put on my safety glasses just to be safe. So now I'm going to start the laser. I'll open the lid while it's working and we'll see how fast it actually turns the laser off. So the laser is actually working right now. So I'm going to open up the lid. And you can see that it shuts off immediately and it has an audible alarm. Then once you close the lid and you press the button, it'll turn off the alarm and it'll continue engraving right from where it left off. Now another safety feature that it has is a tilt sensor. So if somebody comes along and actually lifts the laser up, or maybe it falls off a table, it will immediately stop the laser. So I'll demonstrate that right now. So you can see the laser stopped pretty much immediately. Now once the tilt sensor is tripped, the project will not start from where it last left off because typically if the laser is lifted, it's going to move from its last position and it won't be accurate. So you're just going to have to restart your project over again. So first we're going to take a look at the Toocaa Studio. Before we do any laser engraving, I just want to give you an overview of what the software kind of looks like. And it's all online. It's in your web browser. Very easy to use. So after you've turned on your laser, you want to go over here to connect device. And we can see we're connected by USB. So we'll click that and we'll click connect. And you can see that it immediately connects to the laser. Now, if we look at the side here, we have some options that we can use. We have our select, which pretty much just selects whatever picture or something that you have inside the working area here. We've got some shapes that you can choose from. We can import images such as what I have on the screen right now. We can make some vectors. We have a rectangle. We have an ellipse, polygon shapes. We also have text. Up here, we have the position of whatever you have selected. You can also change the size. So if you know exactly how many millimeters width and length, you can automatically put them in here. Off to the right here, we have the images we have on our screen. They come up as different line items. So the project we're going to do next is we're going to make a puzzle. So what I'm going to do first is we need to laser engrave the photo that we have, and that's the image on the top. And then the next thing I need to do is cut out the puzzle pieces. And as you can see, everything is all set. If I change from cut to line, it changes the speed and the power. We're going to cut out the pieces, so it changes from 3000 to a 300 speed, and we're also going to 100 power. Now you will have to change these variables depending on the type of material that you're using, but I'm just going to have it set whatever it says on here and we can adjust from there. You can also make these different line items different colors so you can easily differentiate them. And each line item has its own settings, like the cut here has its own speed, power, interval, and how many passes you want to make. And the same thing goes for the image as well. So you can have multiple things with different variables in this little area here. We have our frame option, which pretty much just shows you exactly a rectangle that the image is going to be, so you know that you have your materials lined up. We have move, so we can set it to move pretty much wherever we want. We can also take it to our home, and then of course start starts the whole project. If we look at the top here for file, we have new, open, save, save as SVG, save as G-code. For editing, we have undo, redo, and delete. Tools, select pretty much the same thing that we have on the left here, except we do have an image stroke. We've got some laser options, so if you get the optional camera, you can also calibrate that. We also have the rotary setup, language, and our help. Now, after you've got everything set up for your laser, we can start on the built-in project that actually comes with it, and it's on USB. All you need to do is get your piece of wood that comes with your laser, and we're going to press the button one time on the laser to see the laser head move in the outline that it's going to cut out the project that's built in. So the laser will stop in the very top left-hand corner of where your project needs to be. So just simply open up the lid, take your wood piece, and put the laser right in the top right-hand corner of the wood piece. It doesn't have to be at the very tip, just somewhere inside the outside of the line of the wood should be fine. So you can see the laser heads right here. So I'm going to put my wood kind of like right there. It's still on the inside, doesn't have to be on the very edge. Then we'll close our lid. Then we'll press the button again, and you'll see the laser kind of outline where it's actually going to cut out your project. So as long as that laser is inside the wood here, you should be good to go. So now the way that you start the project is you just double click the button and it'll start. All right, so it's all done cutting out the project. It played a little tune when it was done. We still do have some extra wood here that we can do another project with. As you can see, the door hanger just kind of came out from the wood there. And here is our door hanger. I think that looks pretty cool. It cut out really well, nice and precise. You can also see that all the lines on the text are nice and clear, very clean looking, and it's also kind of engraved into the wood. So the portions that are the darkest have been actually kind of engraved into the wood. Feels pretty nice, like the lion's mane and his nose. You can kind of see that it's got a little bit of a depth to it. Looks like a pretty cool first project for anybody, and you can give this to your kids if you have any. So one thing about this laser is if you need to clean it, it is pretty easy to clean because you can actually take the module off the rail very easily, and this little guard here comes off super easy. It's just held on by magnets. This does add an extra layer of security for the laser itself and your eyes because it is made of that same light absorbing acrylic. And if you need to clean it, all you need to do is just simply pull it down and it comes right off, and then you can very easily clean it. You can see that it is kind of dirty. It's got all the like the soot from cutting the wood and such. So you can just very easily clean that by taking that off. Then to clean your laser, I would use a air duster to blow off the excess if there is any dust around there. And then I would just maybe clean it off with a little isopropyl alcohol. Just kind of get around the edges and whatnot. Again, you can very easily just take this off of the rail if you really need to clean it really good. But for the most part, it seems to stay pretty clean, and that air assist definitely does a good job of helping to keep that clean as well. So the second project we're going to do is we're going to make a puzzle out of some wood that I have. The first thing you want to do is to make sure that you have your glasses, and you also want to make sure that you have your exhaust set up to exhaust the the wood fumes somewhere else other than inside your house, and we need to make sure that we turn those on. So now that we have our exhaust all set up, I'm going to take my wood piece, we'll put it onto our tray here. You can pretty much just put it where you think you need it for right now, and we'll set it up in the Toocaa Studio in just a minute. Then we need to set our height for the wood. So we'll undo our latch, we'll lift this up, and then pull down our little measuring tool, bring it over the wood where you're going to engrave, let it hit the wood, and then lock it into place. Then raise up that little piece here, and you're all set. Then we'll close the lid. Then we'll go over to our studio, and as you can see here, we've got some things already set up. I've got my puzzle piece kind of already lined up where I think we need it on the wood, as well as my picture. So the way that I have it set up right now is I have the laser to engrave the image first and then do our cutting, because if we did the cut first, the picture might not come out right, because then the pieces might move around and we just don't want that. So we need to do the picture first, which it is here. We have all of our settings set the way that we need. So I'm going to click frame to see if we actually have the picture where we want it on the wood. So we press that now. And as you saw, the laser kind of moved where the whole rectangle was going to take place. So if you need to, you can either move your wood or you can actually move the picture on the screen. So for me, I'm going to move the wood. So it actually seems like I needed to push the wood up towards the top. So now we'll try that again. All right, so it seems like the wood is in a good spot. So I also want to let you know that I did already line up my picture and the puzzle pieces, so everything fits perfectly on there. And then pretty much all we need to do is just click start and let it run. We'll also turn on our air assist so it keeps the wood burning down to a minimum. All right, so I think that came out pretty good. I will tell you guys that I did have to redo this. When I initially started it on the video, the power was actually a little too high and it was moving a little too slow. It was actually starting to burn through the wood. So I stopped that and then I restarted this with double the speed and I lowered the power, and I think it came out pretty good. It could be a little bit darker, but again, when you're doing your projects, you will probably have to tweak some of the settings to get it just right, but I think it came out looking pretty good. So we'll move this off to the side just for a second. We'll take a closer look here. So I put this in here to kind of keep the wood down because it's kind of warped because it's a little too thin. But if we lift this up, you can kind of see all of the puzzle shapes cut out. This wood is pretty thin, but it cut these little puzzle pieces out pretty good. You can see that some have already fallen through here. It does seem like we might have needed a little bit more power because not all of them have made it through. You can see that they're still kind of stuck onto the wood because they didn't cut out quite as much. So I probably need to turn up the power just a little bit for this, but for the most part, I think it came out pretty good. Look how thin that is, how precisely these little pieces are burned, and there's no burning anywhere else on the wood, and that's where the air assist definitely helps. There's no scorching. Everything is very nicely outlined, which I absolutely love. Just need to turn the power up, but I think it came out pretty good. Now I was also curious to see how small of a puzzle piece I could actually cut out, and this is what it came up with. Look at how small that puzzle piece is. This laser cut this out with precision. Like, look at how small that is. I don't know if you guys can see. I mean, look at that. And it cut out all these pieces just like that. Super precise. I mean, that laser needs to be super fine. I mean, it's on the tip of my finger. Look at how small that is. So if you want to cut out really small puzzles, you can do that with this laser too. That is so cool. You need tweezers to put this together. I mean, those are micro puzzle. And then again, here are those pieces. Here are the original size pieces. And then here are those little baby micro pieces. So pretty much no matter what you need to use this laser for, whether it be super fine or, you know, a little bit bigger, it seems like the laser is more than capable of doing that. And I'm pretty impressed so far. So now I'm going to do the puzzle piece over one more time with just a little bit bigger puzzle pieces, because the first time we did this, the one side of the wood was already etched and it got super thin. So I want to start off fresh with the puzzle pieces just a little bit bigger than they were before and see how it comes out. We're going to be using this skull picture, and as you can see, it's just kind of taking up the bottom half of the screen here. I do already have the image set for the 20,000 speed, 70 power, because I just want to create the image over the top of the puzzle pieces. And then for the cut again, I have the 300 speed, 100% cutting. I do already have my wood in place, so we'll close the lid. Then we'll turn on the air assist, start up our exhaust fan, and we'll start our project. All right, so I screwed up the project by accident, and I was working in Toocaa Studio while it was actually engraving, and it stopped the engraving. But we did get a pretty good idea of how well it's going to work. Open up the lid here, move the laser out of the way, and we can see that it really finely cut out these puzzle pieces. I mean, look at the precision of that little piece. That is like, it's micro. Look at how small that is. So if we lift this up, when you take a closer look, you can see it cut out the puzzle pieces for the middle. Pretty much that's what I wanted it to do in the first place, because the skull didn't actually reach up at the top here. So it just left this pieces, and it cut out exactly where the skull was. So if we take a closer look here, you can see all those little puzzle pieces, how fine they are. I mean, look at that little puzzle piece. I'm gonna see if we can put this back in its little spot. And it fits in there perfectly. That is so cool. So, I mean, you could make your own little puzzles. That is so small. There's that one piece here. I think it's this piece. Try to put that in there. and it fit perfectly. I mean, just look at how small these puzzle pieces are and how precisely it actually cut those out, and they actually still fit perfectly together. That's pretty amazing. So I've kind of got 3 different sized puzzle pieces here. One, these are pretty small, but you can still, you know, pretty much pick these up and put these in place with your hand. 2 are these puzzle pieces that I just did, and then 3 were those little micro puzzle pieces. So pretty much no matter what size you're going to use, you're going to be able to do that with this laser. So now I want to do a multi-layer project. We're going to be using one of the same pieces of wood that we used to do the puzzle. This is going to be 3 different layers. It's going to have a saluting person for the top. We're going to have a flag in the middle, and then the back is just going to be a cutout piece of wood for the background. So once again, we're going to be using the Toocaa Studio for this. All right, so I got my files. I'll put the saluter in here. Then I also have my flag. So I just had to change my flag up really quick. Put this right here. And then we'll go to Tools, Image Stroke. So we can cut this out. Put that right here. So that looks good. So it looks like everything is going to be cut out the way that it needs to. Let's frame it up one more time just to make sure. And I think that looks pretty good. So our power and everything is set. So we'll just turn on our fans. And we can press start. So this actually came out looking really good. And there's one thing I want to point out to you. When I first started this project, I forgot to turn on the air assist. And you can see that right at the edge here, there's just a little bit of like scoring from the laser. But then you can see I turned it on right here, and all the lines are super clean, very precise. I am really impressed with this laser. And I would definitely recommend getting the air assist because you can clearly see how it makes your project so much cleaner. So we'll take this out. Kind of see everything just falls out of place. Those lines super clean. Again, you can kind of see at the top here the slight burning that was kind of happening because I didn't turn the air assist on, but once I did that, everything else is super clean. So here we have our background. We've got our American flag. Get out all the rest of the stars. You can see that came out beautifully. Very nice and clean. There's no finishing that you need to do on the front of this because of that air assist. And then here you can see all the cutouts. Look at how thin that is. That is so nice. And then here we have the saluter. We actually had another little outer piece that got cut out as well, and it's super fine. I mean, that is incredible. So this is going to go onto the edge, just like that, and then we'll put the backing on here, and it'll look really nice. So here is our finished flag project. I think it came out pretty good. Very simple, very effective. You can see that it is made of 3 layers of that pretty thin wood. And the nice thing about this is you can scale it up if you really want to. Put it on some nicer wood and it should come out just like this, and you can glue everything together and then put it on your wall. I think that Looks pretty clean, very sharp. I didn't have to sand any of the wood because there were no burn marks because of the air assist. Worked beautifully. All the cutouts are super sharp, very precise, and I think it looks pretty good. But let me know what you guys think. Leave me a comment below. So now for our next project, I want to see how well the laser engraves on stainless steel. So I have a stainless steel dog tag already set up inside the laser. It's got two different sides. One side is brushed and the other side is like a mirror polished finish. And I want to see again how well the laser performs on each one of those surfaces. So again, we're going to be using the Toocaa Studio. I've got my little picture that I want to engrave on the dog tag as well as some text. Now I imported this as an SVG and it's only doing a line. It's not actually showing a picture. So I want to see how this performs when the picture is not set as a picture and just as a line here. Once again, I want to kind of frame it up just to make sure that everything is set. And you guys can't really see it, but there is a blue laser that did outline the box that's going to be aligned onto the dog tag, and it seems to be perfectly aligned. So I want to turn on my air assist, and we're going to turn on our exhaust fan, and then we're going to hit start, and we'll see what happens. So it seems like it looks pretty good. The only thing is that it only engraved the text. It did not engrave the pictures at all. So I'm going to need to put the pictures in here in a separate line and then re-etch it into the dog tag. And then we'll take a look at it. All right, so I've added a picture onto the screen here along with a paw print. And as you can see, it's added it as an image. I slowed it down to 1000 for the speed and power output is at 80. So again, let's start up our project. All right, so now once this is completed, you want to let it sit for maybe about 5 minutes or so because the dog tag is going to be really hot after getting engraved, so you don't want to touch it right away. So this is what it looks like right now. I think that came out pretty good. So let's wipe it off. And then we'll take another look. So I think that came out looking pretty good. The picture is maybe just a little bit darker than I'd like. That's not the laser's fault. That's because I had the picture the same setting as the little paw print, which I did want to be pretty dark. So I could lighten that up a little bit, but you can see that the text is nice and crisp. You can very easily read that. So not too bad at all. So now we have the backing, which is like a mirror finish. So I'm going to put this down on the laser again. We're going to do this again, and we're going to see if it can actually laser on the shiny part. And just to show you what the framing looks like, I think that looks pretty decent. So we're going to start this off again. I think that the image should be maybe like a little less power. So we're going to do maybe like 65 for our power. We're going to leave the line. I think that was pretty good. Turn on our air assist and our fan again. And then we can hit start. All right, so it's been about 5 minutes. Turn that off and we'll take a look. So this is what it came out looking as. So the picture probably could have been inverted to make it look just a little bit better. but you can see that the paw print and the text came out really good. You can very easily see what's on the dog tag. You can read it very easily. So now we'll just kind of wipe it off with some alcohol, clean it up a little bit. We'll take another look. So depending on how you hold this, because of the shine, you can kind of see that the picture can be a little better from an angle, but the shininess makes it kind of look a little different. So you might want to try different ways to put the picture. Like I said, you can kind of invert it to maybe make the shiny pieces a little darker, but it does look pretty clean, and you can see that the paw print is really nice, and you can very easily read that text. I think that came out looking really good. Pretty sharp. So now that we know what the laser engraver can do on a brushed and shiny stainless steel, we're going to engrave on one of the dog tags that was actually included with the laser itself. And it kind of looks like it's an anodized aluminum that has a sandblasted finish. So here I have my image that I'm going to laser on the dog tag. I got everything lined up. I'm using the blue tape just to kind of give me a better alignment for the laser. I'm going to do a fill at 1000, and we're going to keep the power at 80. Again, I've got everything lined up, so we'll close this enclosure here. We'll turn on our exhaust fan, and we'll start our engrave. Wow, that looks super clean. And it's nice and cool already because it is aluminum. Take a look at that. That looks pretty professional. And with the sandblasted metal, it gives it kind of like a soft look. That is so clean. I mean, this looks like something you'd probably buy in a store. That came out really good. I actually think it did a lot better on the anodized aluminum because it kind of just took off that top anodized layer and it just looks so clean. Like it was kind of like stamped into the metal. So now we know the laser can engrave on super shiny mirror finish metals, brushed metals, and it does really good with anodized aluminum. All right, so now I want to see if we can use the laser to cut 3/4 inch wood. I've got the piece already inside the laser. I've got my name set up in the Toocaa Studio, and I want to see how long it's going to take, what power it's going to take to actually cut through this wood, and if it can actually be done. So like I mentioned before, here I've got my name all set up. We need to kind of line up the laser before we start it again. So we'll do our framing. All right, so it seems like we have it framed up. Now, a little tip that I want to give you is if you need to line anything up, when the frame is done, the laser will always stop in the top left-hand corner of the little box that it made. So all you need to do is take your material, make sure that whatever is being used is lined up in the very top right hand corner of your material, and you should pretty much always be able to line it up fairly easily. We'll turn on our air assist, turn on our exhaust. Then we need to cut this out, so I'm going to change it to cut. I'm going to change my speed to 900, 100% power, 7 passes. You can see I have my name here. It is all connected. It's framed up. So let's start our project. So one other thing I forgot to mention is when you're trying to cut wood that's this thick, you need to set your laser to the very bottom of the wood because that's ultimately where you want to cut through and not just on the top of the wood. So It doesn't seem like it cut all the way through the wood, and it was probably moving too quickly to even do that. So I'm going to reset my laser and we're gonna try again. All right, so it is lined up. The power is at 100%. We're gonna turn the speed down again. We're probably gonna do maybe, we'll do 300, 7 passes, and we'll try this again. So here we go. All right, so I actually stopped it a little earlier. It seemed like the laser had gone all the way through the wood, so I didn't need it to laser anymore. So we're gonna open up our laser here and we'll take a look. So it did actually go all the way through the wood. I probably should have let it go throughout these whole 7 passes, but it looked to me like it was pretty much through, so I wanted to stop it and check it out. But you can see how clean that is. Even after 7 passes, there's only slight burning on a couple places in the top here. And if I would have let it go, it probably would have went all the way through the wood. So I was actually able to get out a little bit of my name, and you can see how clean it is. I lost the top part of the T because when we looked on the back of the wood, it wasn't finished cutting. But there, as you can see, is the inner portion of the wood, and it looks super clean. So if I were to let it do the 7 passes that it was supposed to do, it probably would have pretty cleanly cut out my name, and it would have been a lot easier to get out. But the little holes here, that was from the tool that I used to actually get my name out. But you can see it came out pretty good. So just from this, you can see that the laser is definitely capable of cutting 3/4 inch wood. So now instead of using a poplar, I'm going to use just a regular old piece of wood here, and we're going to try my name again. This time I'm going to reposition the level of the laser to see if it'll actually cut through the wood a little bit easier. All right, so I ended up lowering the laser just a little bit more than it was actually supposed to be to see if it would cut through the bottom of the wood, and I'm going to increase the passes to 9 this time, and we'll see what it can do. All right, so it finished cutting out my name again, and we'll take a look. So again, it just has some parts, it's got some difficulty kind of getting through to the bottom, but the top, that is so clean. Like that, the air assist is invaluable because you can see how much it actually keeps the scoring down from a bare minimum, if any. So if we can kind of push it out, because it does seem to be almost out. So you can see it's already starting to kind of come through the back here. So let me see if I can get it out the rest of the way. So there was actually only a little sliver of wood actually keeping my name in there. You can see the little peg for the O. We'll kind of pull this out the rest of the way. And you can see just how clean that is. That looks amazing. Of course, the inside is going to be burned because of how many passes we did, but for the top, it looks absolutely beautiful. That came out really good. So I think maybe 1 or 2 more passes and it would have gotten this little piece right here just needed to be cut. But other than that, it came out absolutely beautiful. And like I mentioned, the air assist is absolutely necessary if you want to keep the scorching down from the wood. You can see it's at a bare minimum, if at all. We might have just a little bit in the corner, but other than that, it looks absolutely amazing. And then here is the piece of wood that actually took it out of. So I'm going to try cutting my name out just one more time. This time we're going to do 12 passes, and that should do it. All right, so it looks like it just finished. We'll take a look and see if it made it through this time. Looks like a pretty nice cut. As you can see, there's absolutely no scorching anywhere in the wood, and again, that's due to the air assist. On the back, it looks like it almost made it through. Kind of push this out. See if I can get it out with a tool. All right, so the same thing as before. It seems like it was just being held on by a little tiny piece of wood in the back, and then I can just kind of pull my name out. It looks pretty good. And in the middle, we have that little piece in my O. Kind of push that out. I need something to get in there. So I kind of push that through the middle. Here's the piece. Just kind of slides right out. And there we have our full name. Looks nice and clean. Again, there's no like scarring from the laser on the front because of the air assist. That's what the inside looks like. There's the back because I started my name on the engraving on the other side, but from the front it looks absolutely amazing. And here is the other one from the regular wood. I think they both look pretty good. And again, this is from 3/4 inch thick poplar and just like a regular wood. You can see the wood grain differences on the top too. So now we're just going to go out for all out speed. I want to see how fast this laser engraver really is, and it can do up to 25,000 millimeters a second. So I've got a piece of cardboard in here. We're just simply going to do an outline of the believe symbol that I put on the dog tag. Again, I just want to see how fast this laser can actually move. So let's check it out. All right, so I have everything lined up. I've got my cardboard inside. We'll close up the laser engraver. We'll turn on our exhaust fan. All right, so here we go. All right, so that's it. I think that took about maybe 5.5 minutes to do a big outline such as this. So because it was moving so quickly and I turned down the power, it didn't really engrave a lot onto the cardboard. So now I'm going to change it to fill, and we're going to see what it does at this speed. Turn it up to 80 power, and we'll change it to fill. And we'll try it one more time. So I'll put up on screen exactly how long it took to do this engraving. It kind of seems like it was probably about maybe 30 minutes, but this test will at least give you some idea of how long it'll take you to do an engraving this big at its fastest speeds. And we can take a closer look here. And that does look like it came out pretty good. And of course you see some variation in the darkness of the engraving because this is cardboard and it's not an even surface. You can see all the little ridges in it, so there's going to be some inconsistencies in the different contrast for the engraving, but that's because it's on the cardboard. And then for my last trick, we're going to engrave my channel name onto a pretzel, and we're going to see how well it actually comes out and if it's even legible. So you can see on the screen here, you can't even really read my channel name. It's so small, and I can't zoom in anymore. That's about as much as I can zoom in. We're going to set it to fill so we can kind of read the name. It's going to actually fill it in all the way. We have the speed set to 8,000. I have the power set to 65. Everything's all lined up, so it should be perfectly set up to engrave onto the pretzel. So we'll close our cover here. So let's see what it looks like. So you can see the name on the pretzel. It's a little hard because of the bumps, but it's definitely there and it's pretty sharp. All right, so this time I put my name in a little bigger size font, and we're going to laser it onto the pretzel to see if it comes out a little bit better. And it definitely did. So you can see that the name is a little bit bigger than the high-tech check next to it, and you can see it a lot better. And a pretzel is pretty small. For that to come out as sharp as it did, I think that's pretty good. So now that I've had a chance to thoroughly test out the laser, I want to let you know what I like about it and the one thing that I don't. First up, I love all the safety features, and that's something that's very important to me because I want to protect my eyes and make sure that me and my family are safe, and I'm sure a lot of you out there feel the same way. So whether you're going to be using this for yourself or around your family with your kids, just know that there are plenty of safety features to keep you and your family safe. And there was one safety feature in particular that this laser engraver does have that I could not test because I couldn't get the laser engraver to actually produce it, and that was the flame detection. So at no point when I was laser engraving any of the wood, even at some slow power settings, I could not get a flame to produce from the laser, which is actually a good thing. I also love the fact that it can engrave a lot of different materials, and it also has the quick swap modules, so you can use different powers and different lasers depending on what kind of project you're trying to do. I can also really appreciate the fact that it's got a rather large working area, so whether you have small projects, larger projects, this laser engraver will accommodate that. You're not just locked into a little 8x8 area like some of the lasers are. The software is also pretty easy to use, and the Toocaa Studio doesn't need any installation. It just simply works right from your web browser, which makes things very convenient, and for you to use it on a multitude of different devices. And the fact that it also works with Lightburn is great because Lightburn has a ton of different options for you to use in case the Toocaa Studio doesn't do what you need it to for the project that you're working on. Build quality is also something that's very important to me, and I'm sure it is for you too, and the L2 definitely delivers on that. All of the moving parts and the main body of the L2 is made of a very solid, sturdy aluminum, and only the very top portion of the enclosure is actually made from acrylic. And once you put it all together, it's very solid and sturdy, and it's actually pretty quiet while it's working, not including the fans if you are using them. And lastly is the price. For what you're getting and what it can do, it's actually very affordable, considering some of the other lasers that are comparable to this might actually cost you double or more. And that brings us to our one con. One thing I didn't like about it that I wish could be a little bit different. It's not a huge thing, it's just something that I noted during my testing. So if you want to engrave things that are bigger, like boxes, without having to take them apart, you're going to have to find some way to actually lift this laser up in the air so it can accommodate that extra height. So I kind of wish that maybe the laser came with some bigger, longer feet, or actually make the whole system itself deeper so it can accommodate those bigger items a little bit easier. Because realistically, as it sits right now, there's only about maybe a 3-inch gap to where you can put your material or item inside to actually laser engrave. So again, if you're going to be doing something bigger than that, you're going to need to find some way to actually lift the laser up in the air. Again, it's not a huge deal. It can be done. I just kind of wish there would be something that it came with to make it a little bit easier to do. And one accessory I would definitely recommend picking up with the L2 is the air assist, because if you're going to be engraving on things that can burn, such as wood, that air assist is invaluable. It'll save you time in the back end, and it'll keep your wood from getting scorched. But what did you guys think about the laser? Do you think this is something that would fit your needs? And why would you buy it? Let me know in the comments below. And if you guys want to pick this up yourself, I will be putting product links in the video description, and make sure you use those links because it'll save you some money during checkout. And if you guys enjoyed the video, it would really help out the channel if you gave me a thumbs up and consider subscribing. Thank you all for watching. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.